Everyone. Welcome back. I'm joined with Peter Manos. He's actually a senior analyst here at ARC Advisory Group. Again, my name is Lucas Martin. I'm our business development manager here at ARC Advisory Group. Peter recently finished a global market analysis report on ESG reporting software, which is obviously a newer market. So I wanted to set up some time where we could kind of talk a little bit about the scope of research. Thanks again for the time, Peter. Can you just kind of briefly talk about, again, the scope of research that went into producing such quality market analysis report like this?
Sure, Lucas. Thanks for that question, and really great to be able to provide the value that we see here. So the scope is really first to carve out the main segments that ESG is addressing: environmental, social, and corporate governance in terms of the solutions capabilities, versus the larger constellation of sustainability-related solutions that are being leveraged by, industrial and commercial asset owner-operators. So that larger constellation is everything from, carbon accounting to environmental health and safety software, as well as things that help to inform the evaluation of risk that overlap partially with the ESG side, but sometimes go outside of that as well. So we also focus on the actual asset owner operators and the use cases for improving their carbon footprints and meeting their long-term decarbonization goals, and also enabling the full, not only scope 1 and 2, but scope 3 up and down the supply chain. So the value of this is tremendous in terms of all of the ways that markets are responding to what traditionally has been called non-financial metrics. So, companies for a century plus have had, cash flow, income statement, and balance sheet, right? The three main financial reporting tools. Well, for decades now, there's been corporate social responsibility reporting as well, CSR. And that has morphed in more recent years into ESG reporting because of all of the changes and additions of new regulations to help address these very pressing issues associated with climate change. So,
excellent. Yeah. And while you were kind of, kicking off the research, can you maybe just talk a little bit about the supplier landscape for this market?
Sure. It's a mix of big enterprise software vendors that have other solutions, ERP, enterprise asset management, on the one hand, right, who are bringing in, because of their expertise in those requirements, the ESG related modules that kind of dovetail with that on the one hand. On the other hand, you have players who come at it more from having supported corporate social responsibility reporting and other environmental and social related aspects, board diversity, things that are less asset centric, that are in that mix in different ways. So solution providers have a wide range that they're coming at it with, and those who are seeking solutions, they want to focus on where the most value is going to be for them. So it's pretty complicated that way. I should say at the onset, we also exclude hedge fund related rating of the ESG performance of companies. In other words, the whole market around the trillions of dollars of hedge funds that are in varying degrees investing more in environmentally and sustainability conscious companies. They will rank companies based on their perceived ESG performance. That's a very different domain. It overlaps with the ESG operationally that we report on and focus on, but we're not in that space of influencing Wall Street hedge fund owners directly.
Can you maybe talk about a key growth or success factor or two that you might have discovered while doing the research, Peter?
An interesting growth factor is the value that some leading companies have seen in transparency. So there's a lot of work to be done to meet the decarbonization goals that the majority of Fortune 500 and other companies have set. And obviously there's risks associated with not being able to meet upcoming regulations, let alone the real costs of not meeting a current regulation, right? Getting dinged in terms of cost of capital and insurability and brand perceptions. But the leaders are saying, we can solve a big chunk of the challenges between us and our 2040, 2050 net zero goals and decarbonization goals. Maybe 80%, some companies have told me. For that other 20, we want to be transparent as early on as possible so that the wider community of partners and stakeholders and shareholders can like come to the forefront and say, we share, the need to help lift, the rising tide lifts all boats. Well, the transparent companies are going to get to the final, 20% of their 100% decarbonization goals quicker. And that's in stark contrast, Luke, as you can imagine, to companies that might say, oh, how slow can I move? We're making a lot of money here, extracting whatever from the ground and burning it. Why should we move any faster than our peers? So benchmarking to be a leader, benchmarking to be ahead of the curve, to be doing things voluntarily in anticipation of further regulation. That's all goodness, truth, and light. And then on the more smoky, emitting dark side is, oh yeah, I want to see the benchmark so that I can go as slow as I can. And that's not going to fly. It increasingly is not flying because there are a lot of really smart players in the stakeholder community who are using a lot of good tools and big data and satellite data from employees, whistleblowers, reporting that's buried, but it's there if you know where to look, who are saying, hey, we're going to hold your feet to the fire if you're not, proactively really trying to honestly do better. So it's a very mixed market that way. Yeah,
absolutely. 100%. So, Peter, one of my favorite questions I like to ask is, what strategies would you recommend to the asset owners, the technology users looking to purchase some sort of ESG reporting software?
I would say to really evaluate the strengths in your vertical, your industry of the suppliers that you're looking at. And also I would say the mid-size and even smaller tier 3 suppliers of these solutions sometimes are as strong or stronger than an ESG software module that some really big player bought last year and has barely integrated into its larger enterprise software and services capabilities. So, if you're talking about a company with 50 to 250 employees, but it's right in your space and they're really strong and have a long legacy in your industry, and they're bringing their ESG solution and their services to bear, that 50 to 250 person company might be stronger than a 10,000 or 20,000 employee company that has a little ESG thing they just acquired recently or built. And we see that. We see tier 1 asset owner operators as easily going with tier 3 size solution providers as going with the mid and bigger solution providers. So it's an interesting market.
Yeah, 100%. And kind of on the flip side of that, can you maybe just briefly touch on how maybe a supplier in this market could benefit from purchasing a report like this, or potentially an EPC, or some of the other benefits?
Sure. The complexities associated with this, there are mistakes to be made, really, and it's important to have the information that we've discovered in researching this report, because it's going to enable organizations to better determine how to make ESG something strategic and an asset for them. So, Lucas, real quick, the contrast between, if you look at the job listings on LinkedIn and other sources for companies that are looking for sustainability employees, a chief sustainability officer job listing, or a ESG subject matter expert or need, the contrast between a company that views ESG and sustainability as core strategy versus companies that are dragging their feet and just using it as a reporting function. On the one hand, you'll see a job listing where the company will have that strategic orientation, and it's like forward thinking, and it looks like it will be an amazingly exciting place to work. On the other hand, a company might have the ESG in its accounting department or marketing department, and it's all just about like not getting dinged because you're missing some compliance activity, and being able to market that you did something that looks kind of green and goes into your sustainability report with some nice pictures of trees and flowers and little girls in dresses, right? But you're actually not doing anything. So going through the motions is just not going to fly anymore. And this report really helps companies align in the best possible way with the best choices they can make, I would say.
Absolutely. Well, again, thanks a lot for the time, Peter. I know you spent a lot of time in your personal bandwidth on, producing such a quality global market analysis report like this. Just a reminder to the viewers, we barely scratched the surface on the information that's covered in this report. Links to our website, links to the press release for this specific study will be included below in the description. And additionally, folks, just a reminder, we do have Miro workbooks, which are online dynamic versions of these market analysis reports that are updated quarterly. So thanks a lot, folks. Thanks again for the time, Peter.
Excellent,
and really
Lucas.
wish you a good rest of your day and a great weekend. See you, folks.
Thanks. And thanks for listening, everyone.